Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I will be your host, and my lovely co-host here is what's called a dwarf pomegranate. I've shown you this before. It's nothing new, but what is new is that it's alive. This little bugger had the worst problem. I had a spider mite attack a while back, and it decimated a lot of my plants. And it was in an episode called Life from Lifelessness. And I was kind of bummed because, you know, I lost some plants, but the nice thing is, I really didn't lose them. They just kind of went through a little bit of a, I don't know, zombie stage for a while, and they came back beautifully. This dwarf pomegranate was totally dead. There was nothing left alive on it. It was totally crispy, dead. The spider mites hit it. Then I sprayed it with a lot of pyrethrin, which was not good because it was in really dire shape as it was. So the pyrethrin killed it along with the spider mites. Between me and the spider mites, we managed to decimate this poor thing. But it came back, and it came back a lot stronger. Take a look at this. The main stem, I've pruned all the branches off, and it's about as thick as my little finger. It's an extremely sturdy little tree. I didn't mean for it to turn out all bonsai looking or like a little shrub. That's just how it turned out, because when I sprayed it, of course, everything died, and I really had no way to choose what came back to life, but luckily it was all at the top. So that's kind of neat. It's a very strong looking plant, and eventually it's going to start putting out flowers again. These little red things are not flowers, they're leaves. It's growing extremely fast, and I have a baby from one of the seeds, so I'm going to have two of these. I just really am sold on dwarf pomegranate, so I'm going to plant the seeds as they come out and get more and more of these things. I'm going to have them all over the house. Why not? Yeah, definitely a success story. Yeah, I'm very happy about this. Next one up on the tour is what's called a Cedra Lemon. And all a Cedra Lemon is, it's a variety of lemon that has extremely large, huge lemons. And it's a beautiful, beautiful plant. I grew this from seeds sent to me by somebody. Whoever you are, thank you very much. And it's doing extremely well. It has a younger twin that's about maybe this tall, but this is the big one, so I wanted to show you this. It's just like a lemon tree, smells like a lemon tree when you do the leaves, and it's doing really good. Take a close-up look at this. It basically looks just like a lemon tree. There's nothing different about it except for the fruits. I believe the fruits end up being a lot bigger. That's my understanding. I'm really not quite sure. This thing seems to be doing really well. It's like in the, oh, see? Little tiny white fly right there. Dead white fly. And our next lovely guest is what's called a Jerusalem artichoke. These are beautiful plants, and they're absolutely edible. You can eat the roots, and that's what a lot of people go for, is the roots. They're called Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes. And I believe John Kohler at growingyourgreens.com, the YouTube channel, he really likes these plants. He grows them, promotes them. I believe he gave some roots away one year, but they're an amazing plant. And a viewer of mine, who is also, I believe, a viewer of John Kohler's, he wanted me to grow these as well. And turns out I had these growing wild up at my former property, and I never knew that. I researched them. Turns out they grow wild in Minnesota, and that's exactly what I had growing all this time. And I just called them the little multi-headed daisy type flowers. I didn't know they were called Jerusalem artichokes. Now I do. And these things will grow like wildfire. So whenever I plant these outside, I got a lot of warnings from people. Ray, when you plant these outside, they're going to spread and take over everything. No, they won't. That's what riding lawnmower is for. So they will not take over my yard, I can guarantee you, but I'm going to enjoy growing them all over the place. What better thing to take over part of my yard than something that flowers and is beautiful and is edible? I mean, I could think of worse things to take over my yard. Take a close-up look at this and see what you think. And apparently this is what a Jerusalem artichoke looks like up close. I'll be growing this all throughout the summer and probably forever if it spreads the way everybody says it's going to spread. So you're going to see a lot more of this outside. Definitely not inside, but I'm going to be growing it outside, and hopefully it'll spread and put out all kinds of beautiful yellow flowers all over my yard. Yeah, it's really nice. And take a look at this. Oh, I am so happy to reintroduce my coffee tree. This is one of two that I have, and this is the one that I was having problems with the leaves, and I was asking you, hey, what's wrong with this thing? Can you help me? Well, it turns out It was an iron deficiency. I thought it was magnesium. Turns out it wasn't magnesium. I did a lot of research and a lot of experimenting. Turns out it was iron. So I got chelated iron, which is iron that is usable by your plants. And you can't just take iron filings and throw them in soil and expect it to work. Chelated iron is usable by the plants, and it doesn't have to be left in there to rot and take years to use. It is readily accessible to the plants, and it really did a number on this tree. It really, really worked good. So I put like a little tablespoon in 5 gallons of water every time I watered this thing. It's doing fantastic, and I couldn't be happier. It's healthy, happy, and it's going to live. So that was another one of those plants that I really wasn't quite sure it was going to live. It's going to live. And this little miracle is my miracle fruit. Yes, I grew this from a seed, and they are a pain to grow. Anybody that's grown these, you know what I'm talking about. They are so freakishly slow to grow. You wonder, is it really worth it? Take a look at this and you tell me. I hope it flowers eventually. For right now, it's growing really fast and really strong. So that's going to be a good foundation for when it does flower. All sides of it are looking good. I think it needs a little bit more coffee, because I think that's what's going on here with a little bit of yellow. But the newer leaves are fine. These are older leaves down here. Yeah. I am very happy and I'm very lucky that this thing did good. So, coffee is not only good for Ray, it is good for the miracle fruit. Every now and then I take a cold cup of coffee and just dump it in there. That keeps the soil acidic, keeps it nice and healthy. I don't have to add any kind of special anything to it. So, that's my tip. If you want to keep your roses happy, your acid-loving plants, dump a cup of cold coffee every now and then. And also, if you have them outside, take a pot of cold coffee and dump it around your plants. If you have pine needles, use that as mulch around there. That'll work as well. But I'm not going to go outside and dig in the snow right now and look for pine needles. So coffee works fine for me. Haha. Passion fruit. This is my giant granadilla. I just like saying it. Giant granadilla. This is a giant granadilla, which is basically nothing more than a passion fruit, I believe. And it was growing really tall. I got about 4 feet, 5 feet tall. And I thought, you know what? It's not going to make it till I get my grow room done downstairs. So what do I got to do? Snip its little head off. Yep. Learn my lesson from these pepper plants. They cannot be allowed to grow too tall. Otherwise, it wouldn't fit in here. So I snipped it off, but I was unaware of what it would do if I did snip the head off. I mean, will it send out side shoots? I don't know. I've never grown one before. Take a look at what it did. Right. Here's where I clipped it off. And then this is a side branch right here. Down at the next section, that's a whole new growing tip. And if we go down just a little bit further, there's the third one. And that's all I have so far is 3. I don't know if any more are going to come out, but 3 is enough. This thing is going to go nuts. Oop, white fly. What do you know? I did something right. So now I have 3 side shoots, and this is going to go downstairs because I know it's going to go nuts and it's never going to fit in this little micro room up here. So I'm going to take it downstairs into the big grow room, and I'm going to train it to go all over around the room and have a good time, and we're going to have giant granadilla fruits all over the place. And the monster in the room. The final thing, I wanted to show you this because it's time to prune this back because it's getting top heavy. Normally a tobacco, oh by the way, this is a tobacco plant in case you don't know. Everybody is posting their pictures of their little tobacco babies growing. This is what you have to look forward to. They start out very small, very weak, and you wonder, really? Is that a tobacco plant? Yes, it's a tobacco plant. It grows very small, and then all of a sudden one day you come upstairs and you're like, ah! And yeah, you got this monster growing in your grow room and it's going nuts. And if you grow it outside, it's going to grow even bigger. Yes, I had these things grow about maybe 7 feet tall before. So they really do get big. Outside, they're nice and strong. Indoors, they're a little bit weaker because they tend to get the really big leaves indoors, but the stems are very weak. Ew, and they're sticky. I hate touching this thing. I feel like I'm touching fly paper every time I touch this plant. It's good for sticking bugs onto it, but I don't like touching it. So anyway, yeah, I got to prune this thing back. But before I prune it back, I wanted to show you what happens when your tobacco plant flowers. You may wonder what it's going to look like. Take a look at the future of your plant. That is quite a cluster, isn't it? That's a lot of pods. And by the way, each one of these pods contains hundreds of seeds. So you can just imagine how many seeds are in just this cluster of pods. And here's a cluster that was on another branch right down here. I snipped it off down here. And you want to be very careful because you don't want these to break open and get seeds all over the place. Otherwise, you're never going to get rid of these things. These things will be like weeds in your yard. But anyway, you take them and toss them on a paper plate, put them in a sunny window, and let them totally dry out. You want to make sure they totally dry out before you crack them open and get the seeds out. And they are going to have endless amounts of seeds. Just a ton of seeds. It's insane. It is absolutely insane how many seeds you're going to get from just one plant. And a lot of you are growing more than one plant. So get ready for it, folks. You're going to have all kinds of seeds, and hopefully you have more seeds than you can use. And next year, you can share them with everybody else who's looking for tobacco seeds, and they're going to grow it and have just as much fun as you did. So that is the tobacco plant. You won't see it this tall for a while because I got to prune it back again because it's just a little bit out of control. Okay, you stay there, stay there. Don't fall on me. It keeps wanting to do this, and it probably will. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you for joining me in the Voodoo Garden for a really quick update on what's going on and a few updates from plants and a little experiment and this crazy, tacky mess I got growing up here. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day. This is Ray at the Voodoo Garden. I'm out of here.